The ACC Championship, the only one we haven't broken down yet. David, when you look at this game, obviously we can sit here and say Jordan Travis sitting in the game, it gives Louisville a great shot, probably the best chance, I think, to upset somebody in one of these conference championship games. You can talk about Alabama, Georgia, right? You talk about Oregon, Washington, technically an upset. But as far as kind of a big upset, with Jack Plummer coming off a loss against Kentucky, which I don't think they looked ahead. I watched that whole game. Louisville made mistakes and Kentucky took advantage of it.
It's an in-state rivalry.
Right, it's an in-state rivalry game. Louisville's not getting in the playoff with 2 losses. So this is the hurrah before the bowl game. Can Florida State do enough offensively? Because I think Louisville can move the ball. We've watched them fight up front with Notre Dame, right? We've watched them be able defensively to hang in there against the run. I know what Florida State's going to try and do. You're just trying to survive this to get to the playoff. Mm-hmm. So if you're Mike Norvell, if you're Florida State's offensive staff, David Cone, I'll ask you, former Michigan quarterback, how aggressive are you going to be with Tate Rodemaker? Or do you feel out how the game is going, play it conservative, see how your defense is playing? Because I think Louisville's going to bring the whole bag of tricks. Mm-hmm. Braum is not going to leave anything left on the table. You're basically playing with house money against a team without their quarterback. Are you going in there saying, screw it, Tate Rodemaker's our guy, he's a redshirt junior, he was our first commitment I had as Mike Norvell's the head coach at Florida State. We're going to operate this thing like Jordan Travis was in there? Or are you going to play a game of, ooh, I'll look at yours if you look at mine?
Kind of like the Michigan-Penn State game.
That's exactly
right. No, I think it's the latter for sure. I think now if Lamar Jackson were on the other side playing quarterback for Louisville, of course, you got to let it all hang out, right? Yeah. But with Jack Plummer on the other side, I think you do feel out what Ron English is going to do on the defensive side for Louisville first before you let your backup quarterback at Florida State just go airing the ball around the yard and calling every single play that you would with Jordan Travis. But I don't think we can talk enough about what the job that both of these coaches have done. I mean, a season ago, we were talking about, Florida State being so down in the dumps. They hadn't had a winning season, like 5 straight years, something like that. Is Mike Norvell on the hot seat? Now they're on the cusp of making the college football playoff despite their starting quarterback going out. Then Jeff Braum coming into a Louisville program, which like when I was coming out of high school and getting recruited by Louisville, it was Bobby Petrino at the time, who I know we're going to talk about in a little bit. They had the number 1 offense in the country. Like this program can always win football games. The job that he's done in year 1 with a quarterback coming over in Jack Plummer that he benched, right? At Purdue, for that kid to follow him over to Louisville,
ultimate compliment,
name the starter, that tells you all you need to know about the coaching staff at Louisville right now. And I agree with you. I think losing to Kentucky says more about the type of team that Mark Stoops has at Kentucky, and they've underperformed throughout much of.
So you're feeling it out early. You're going to feel it out. Let's stick to the run game.
You have to see if the other side, to see if the quarterback on the other side can beat you. That's what I would do.
No, I agree with you. I think that's the safe route because again, why would you risk that much early? Even if you go down, you do have the ability to score if you're a touchdown down or you're 10 points down. Florida State can still come back. If you're looking for the perfect scent or the perfect gift this holiday season, you need to check out St. John's. I'm not talking about the Red Storm. I'm talking about the storm that's taken over the cologne and the soap game. Got so many good smells for days, all right? St. John's Cologne, 75 years ago, U.S. Naval Officer Captain John Webb blended the local bay rum with the island's tropical bay leaf oils and spices, as the genesis of their collection of distinctive men's fragrances. The bottle's awesome. I use it now. We all have it. It's sitting in my bathroom. My wife absolutely loves it. Bay rum, it's bold, embracing scent. It stands out from the crowd. It's different, but in the best way possible. So what are you waiting for? Go to stjohnsbayrum.com. Ladies out there, here we go. Here's another one. stjohnsbayrum.com. Let me get some of this.
Drop the soap.
I bet you'd like that. stjohnsbayrum.com and use promo code BOOSTER, BOOSTER, at checkout for exclusive discounts. That's stjohnsbayrum.com. Use promo code BOOSTER, BOOSTER today. Shout out St. John's. What scent you got over there, David?
Lime.
It's my favorite. My wife likes the original. I like extra crispy.
Yeah, look, 98% of the time,
it works every time. That's wow. Lane, when you look at Rodemaker, he's obviously been there for a while. When he had to come in last year, Johnny Wilson was his go-to guy. He was his go-to guy against Florida. Johnny Wilson had 6 catches for 64 yards. Keon Coleman had 1 catch. But when you look at that game against Florida, you were going up against a Florida team with their backup quarterback who hadn't really done anything, who could barely throw. So you could be ultra conservative. If Florida State's offensive line and run game shows up, you would think they'd be able to outlast Louisville here. Kind of what's your feel on it?
Well, if it's me, I'm going to play a game, Mike Norvell, of how many times can I run it and feel safe about it. I do not trust this kid at Florida State at all. And I think if you watch that Florida game, which I watched every snap of this Florida game, you can't trust him either. And look, Mike Norvell's done a great job bringing his team back. But Brom's done in the first year is absolutely amazing. And this is the thing about Florida State. And I said this about the Florida State-Florida game. You can run the ball against Florida State. Florida had almost 150 rushing yards. And most of them from the two backs. The quarterback did a little bit, but this Jordan kid, Jawar Jordan for Louisville is over 1,000-yard rusher, and they're pretty damn good up front. Shamari Thrash is an NFL receiver. But the thing is this, how are you going to play this defense against Florida State? Because if you go back and you watch that Florida game, if you give this kid from Florida State time in the pocket just to sit back, they have too good of athletes and Keon Coleman and Johnny Wilson who can pick your zones apart. It's almost pick your poison here. If me, I am lighting this kid up. It's a geometry class. I'm bringing it from every angle possible. You want to balance it, but I'm leaning more blitz than I'm leaning playing conservative. Florida State, they want to run the ball. Benson in the backfield, they want to run the ball. I don't think Mike Norvell believes that much in this kid at quarterback. I don't think he's going to come out and air this ball out. I think he's going to rely on the run game, rely on their offensive line, which has been solid the entire year, and let that defense try to win the game for them.
Yeah, well, they were pretty balanced against Florida. They threw it 26 times. They ran it 31 times. Here's where and again, you've got to choose something, right? You're never going to be truly 50-50. You can't live in a world of absolutes, right? Where you're just blitzing every time or you're just playing coverage every time. You got to mix it up. But on those important downs, could you put your head on the pillow easier at night if you're Louisville, if you do bring pressure and you leave that one-on-one out? Because what you do when you bring pressure a lot of times is it's twofold. Yes, you're putting pressure on the quarterback, but you're making the decision easier for him, and you're taking guys out of coverage. For example, it's 3rd and 9. I know I've got a rail route, or we're running 4 verts, or we're running clear out. You bring pressure. I know that I'm going to Johnny Wilson on the outside, or Keon Coleman, wherever they are, and it's man-to-man coverage. That 50-50 ball I feel good about. So not only am I putting the defense in a man-to-man situation, and you go cover LeBron's situation, see if you can stop him, but I'm making the decision for the quarterback. That's why I think it's not just about blitzing. Just like anything in life, it's about timing, but it's about how you blitz. Like, are you blitzing from depth? Are you walking everybody up to the line of scrimmage and saying, guess what? I am man, I am here, I am now. Yeah. Are you walking guys up and dropping them? I just feel like I would almost rather make Florida State go 8, 9, 10, 11 plays and make them convert 3rd and 5s and 3rd and 6 with him having to find the holes in zone coverage and make the right decision and see if he can't make a mistake or have some missed throws. Not saying you don't heat him up, but I would rather heat you up on early downs. I would rather heat you up on predictable running downs as opposed, because the question is, what do you do in 3rd and 7? We know what to do in 3rd and 2. You got a good idea. They run 12 personnel out here. The question comes down to, what do you do on 3rd and 9?
Well,
right?
They'll mix it up, but the identity of the night, if I know Ron English and I had to play against his defenses every day at practice, the identity of the night's going to be to go after this kid.
Yeah, and we'll see.
And I'm not saying
work.
Just blitz them on 3rd
I know you're
downs.
not saying that.
I'm not saying
I'm talking about the important
But you can
downs.
still blitz. You can still blitz somebody and double a guy, right? Those two things can be true at once.
Yeah, but you can't double 2 of them.
Who's his guy, though? Who's his guy? And who killed Louisville last year?
It's Johnny Wilson, for
right?
sure.
That's who I'm on 3rd down. That's who I'm doubling. That's who he wants to go to. Look, and Keon Coleman is going to be a higher draft pick than Johnny Wilson. Keon Coleman's going to be a better NFL receiver than Johnny Wilson.
Don't forget about Jaheim Bell either.
True. But at the end of the day, in the back of a quarterback's mind, when the panic button clicks, all right, there's one guy that's popping up in this kid's head, and that's Johnny Wilson.
Yeah, well, to me, if it's 3rd and 8 and we got you on passing down, I am running 2-man. I am stunning the front. And with my 2 safeties that I have up top, I am finding Johnny Wilson and Keon Coleman. Jaheim Bell's going to have to beat me in this one. Or they're going to have another receiver beat me in this one. That's why it's so impressive what Ohio State did with Fleming the other day against Michigan, who just so happened to be the number 1 wide receiver in his class that you never really heard about.
Exactly.
That's the problem. But it's like playing the Warriors. You can't double everybody.
Yeah.
Like, they have shooters on deck.
That's
it's
why
Steph, it's Clay, you go down the list. They got guys that you can't double everybody. So that becomes a problem. But you also don't want to just sit back and take it the whole game. It's a nice, to quote Mr. Chizo from Grandma's Boy, dandelion nettle blend.
You'll see Tampa too. You'll see Tampa too.
You'll see, mix it up. You got to mix it up and give them a different bag. But we want to know what you think. Everybody on YouTube, if you haven't heard, we just released a movie. It is dropping this Friday, December 1st at 8 p.m. Eastern. That's 7 p.m. Central on Daily Wire Plus. Check it out. It's the comedy that Hollywood's too afraid to make. You're going to love it because your brain works.